Hi, I'm Tatum, and welcome to Mini Stories, the show where I make minis tell stories, make stories into minis, or just paint minis and tell stories. In today's video, I'm making a mini diorama around the solo RPG character. Since last month I've been investigating the world of one-player board games and RPGs. Some time ago I realized many people have a hard time thinking of playing single-player board games. I myself found it a bit weird. But playing single-player video games should be the same, and it's completely normal. So, in order to get used to that concept and gain more experience and references as a game designer, I decided to try out different single-player board games and RPGs. And when I found this investigator by Loot Studios, I took it as a sign. It's time for me to create a mini diorama around my character for the solo RPG The Unseen World. Now it's time to begin sketching the layout, and for this I'll take my randomly generated town as a reference. Of course, this means the story will be completely fictional, but just like I did for my cryptid story a few videos ago, I'll take some references from real-life locations and stories to make both the diorama and the story around it a bit more realistic. Since the first haunted location I got for this town is the docks, I want to create the ruins of a concrete dock with our investigator exploring the area. Unfortunately, this idea required a slightly bigger base, so back to sanding I went. After that, I traced the surface of my base onto an unused MDF piece from my last video, and by now you surely know the rules, so say it with me. Tatum owns 1,000 rulers, but he'll never find a single one. So I traced some guides for my dock using tongue depressors and then got to cutting the main shape. I also cut a pair of small pieces to act as concrete supports for the dock, and while I create the fractures and use paper clips as metal reinforcements, let me tell you of the other inspiration for the project. Last month's diorama took me way out of my comfort zone, making me spend a ton of time learning how to make the whole scene and almost no time actually painting. So this time I wanted to make sure I used some of the things I learned from that project, while still having a better balance between crafting and painting time. After all, I consider myself a better painter than a crafter. Aside from that, you guys seem to have really liked the spooky stories from my latest videos. So I thought this project would be a nice blend between RPGs, miniature painting, and those creepy tales I love writing. But let me know in the comments below, what is it that brought you here? Now, as you can see, I used paper clips to make all the pieces fit together more nicely, but also as a decoration. Metal beams connecting the different sections of concrete give it all a much more detailed and realistic look, especially given the ruined aspect of these docks. In order to add a bit more detail though, I also took this bit of rope I had and cut tiny pieces to act as thinner supports. And since this character's clothes show a nice motion as if swaying in the wind, I decided to add another detail to follow that movement. A broken dock piling pushed by the wind and waves, but stuck in place due to its rope being stuck beneath the debris. Now, while playing my first case in the Unseen World, I discovered that the way to call the spirits in this place was to light a candle. So I added this fairly consumed one to the diorama behind my character, who's walking towards something. And speaking of my character, I printed him twice just in case I got any failures, and accidentally broke off the antenna on his radio in one of the copies. This was a happy accident though. I think it makes the radio look more like a recorder, which is what my character actually uses to record audio evidence. For the final detail before painting, I added sand and some tiny stones to the bottom, alongside with a skull hidden beneath the docks, just to remind us this is a haunted place. And with the diorama fully assembled, it's finally time to paint, and time for narrator Tatum to tell us the tale of Joel Del Valle, the new recruit. Okay, so entry 114-RN-1. This is Joel Del Valle, former security guard, currently investigator, parapsychologist. To be honest, I don't know what I'm doing here. But Professor Valencia assigned this case to me, and I trust the man, especially after... Never mind. After following the directions Professor Valencia gave me, which took me to the south, past Las Grutas and El Sótano, I found myself at my destination, a small town that seemed barely inhabited. My first stop, as instructed by the professor, was the local school, which had a public access library where I could begin my investigation on the history of the area. On my way, I asked around to see what people could tell me about the town and its legends, but I was largely ignored. It seems independent reporters and people obsessed with the supernatural come from time to time, asking questions without respecting the stories this town can tell, nor the impact they have on its inhabitants. I spent most of the day exploring the school's library. It was there that I found information on the haunted docks. The harbor had once been the lifeblood of the town, but a powerful storm destroyed a great part of it around 50 years ago, causing the loss of many lives and the eventual downfall of the town. It seems there's rumors about the souls of the deceased still wandering around the docks. A few weeks ago I would have said it's nonsense. Now I get chills thinking of it. I don't think there's ghosts there, I still don't believe in them. It's just that, well, I've been wrong before. Anyway, I decided to go to the harbor where I met a middle-aged fisherman named Carlos. According to the man, this section was not even 30 years old. The townsfolk had rebuilt part of the place after the storm had destroyed, again according to him, more than half of the entire town. But by the time the new harbor was done, most people had been forced to move away in search of new jobs and stability. It didn't help that rumors about the dogs being haunted started circulating around town. Carlos mentioned that to this day it's said that lighting a candle in the docks causes the souls of the dead to begin swimming to shore, guided by the light. I bet kids must use that as some kind of game. Light a candle and ask the ghost a question, or something like that. Their very own Bloody Mary. I'm going off track here, sorry. I still don't know if I should cut these parts out or leave them as is. This is it for today anyway. I'll wake up early tomorrow and go to the ruins of the old docks. I might even grab some candles in the local store. Entry 114-RN-2. Joel del Valle. I was wrong. I got to the docks early in the morning. Candle in hand, my camera and voice recorder loaded in my backpack. My taser strapped to my hip just in case. From the moment I set foot in the place, I knew something was wrong. The fog was so thick I could barely see where I was walking, and I kept feeling like I was being followed. Anyway, I walked onto one of the ruined docks, carefully stepping on the cracked concrete, then set a candle on the ground, lighting it. It all started immediately. As soon as I lit the candle, the sound of footsteps made me spin around, right hand instinctively dropping the lighter and reaching for my taser, but I could see nothing. It took me a while to realize, to accept, that there was nobody there. Still, I kept my right hand on the taser just in case, using my left to pull out my recorder, trying to get some evidence of the noises. I have yet to review all the evidence. I'd rather ignore it for a while longer. The lights were next. I don't exactly know when they started. I was distracted by the footsteps around me when I caught the glimpse of a light coming from the water. When I turned around, they were all over the place, as if 100 boats had suddenly lit ethereal green-tinted candles and were now approaching the shore. The sight paralyzed me. It filled me with a fear I hadn't felt since the day I met Professor Valencia. I don't know how long I stared at them. All I know is I blinked and they weren't there anymore. I remember the faint green glow still hanging in the fog, but I couldn't see the lights. Still, something drew me to the water. A voice, calm yet begging for help, calling me to approach the edge of the docks. I took a few steps forward, trying to understand where it came from, but... I'm sorry, this one was a lot for me. It was as if it came from beneath the docks, yet it echoed all around me as if carried by the fog. It sounded male, female, like a single voice, like 100. I can remember the feeling, but I can't remember it. Them. I'm attaching the recording. I recorded the whole thing. I think so, at least. I won't check it myself. Not here, not now, not alone. I'm logging off for the day. Tomorrow I'll continue my job, but for now all I want is to get some rest. I was in the docks for what seemed like 10 minutes, but once I managed to free myself from that voice and run away from there, it was somehow almost midnight. I still don't know what it is. Ghosts, mermaids, demons, I don't know. But something is there, that's for certain. And while part of me wants to go home to forget all this, to forget everything Valencia taught me, I want to know more. Thank you so much for watching. I'm extremely happy with this diorama and I'm having a blast both playing the Unseen World and converting the experience into a story. If you like this video, let me know by leaving a like and a comment, and subscribe for more. I'll be back next month with more minis to paint and more stories to tell. Take care, and thanks for watching.